How's it going, everyone? My name is Case, and on this very special episode of TFL Bike, our good friend Paul Shippey, who writes for TFLbike.com, is doing an interview with Greg Tracy. Now, Paul is going to do a much more in-depth introduction of Greg Tracy, but what you need to know is that he is not only one of the most impressive stuntmen maybe ever, but he's also an incredibly accomplished racing driver and motorcycle racer. So let's see what these two get to talking about.
This is a man whose website is called My Life at Speed. And, speed has been, the essence of what this guy does for a living. And Greg is a man who likes car racing, motorcycles, driving fast cars, and as some say, living on the edge. And why I say that is because Greg is one of the top stuntmen in Hollywood. And for those of you that may have watched or haven't watched, the Bourne Ultimatum series and the Avengers and the Fast and Furious, there's a good chance that Greg was at the wheel of one of those crazy stunt drives or crazy tricks or special effects that was done in all those movies. So this is a man that's, spent a lot of time in the Hollywood stunt driving TV commercial world. Incredibly talented, and even won the Elite World Stunt Award for his work on the Bourne Ultimatum movies. But that's not all about this guy. I mean, Greg's also incredibly talented on two wheels as he is on four. Very unique in that he's able to perform stunts at the highest level in a car. He can do it on a motorcycle, and had a lot of practice on motorcycles. Started out racing supercross and then got into all sorts of other crazy things. Off-road racing, has won the Baja 1000 desert race. And then one of the crowning achievements and that he's well known for in the racing world is having won Pikes Peak hill climb. I think it's no less than 8 times. He's a champion. He's won it on 2 wheels. He's won it on 4 wheels. He's won it in a Mitsubishi electric vehicle. He's won it on a Ducati. He's won it on a BMW motorcycle. The word is that they even named a motorcycle after his second attempt, the Ducati Multistrada. So I could talk forever about what Greg's done. I mean, and then throw in the last thing. He's also the guy that did the amazing X Games Hot Wheels loop in 2012. I think it was with Tanner Faust. Yeah. Man, this is a guy who knows what to do on the limit on 2 wheels and 4 wheels. So Greg, just a delight to have you on. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, appreciate it. Thanks. Great intro.
Talking of resilience, I think when you were I think you were pretty young, you broke your neck doing supercross, right? And then you kind of stopped racing supercross, but you ended up finding your way back into doing all this crazy stuff. I mean, how can you just call it quits after breaking your neck? What got you back out there?
That was actually the second time that I broke my neck and my back.
Okay.
I actually race motorcycles, but the thing is with motorcycle racing, I mean, you start, especially I think when you start at a young age, which of course you have to nowadays to get into the pro level, you have to have been running since you're a little kid. Mm-hmm. And I think injuries just become more inconvenience. You think about, this is taking me off the track for a couple of weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. And, but in the case of that supercross race, yes, that was it. I finally felt like I had enough. I just started going to college, mm-hmm. and Dad sort of made gave us the option of going and racing off-road. So we started building an off-road car. Mm-hmm. Back, and that wasn't really healing. So got out of that as an idea. The off-road racing just didn't sound like it was going to work out too well with a healing neck. So we started racing go-karts. And that was really how the whole racing scene took off. Kind of surprising sometimes how twists and turns, you end up somewhere that you didn't expect.
So of all these things you've done, how come you went to Pikes Peak
There's my
I'd say 8 times. How come you kept going back? I mean, you won it so many times. What is it about Pikes Peak that's attracted you? I mean, you're a multiple champion. It's such a risky race. Why did you keep going back?
Yeah, and I'll set the record on that straight on that. I've actually only won it 7 times, but should have had more in there. Anyways, that's another story for another day.
Thanks.
It's probably one of the most special events on the planet. Everybody that's gone there usually goes back multiple times, and a lot of the guys that have won it multiple times. I think part of that is just really knowing the course and getting comfortable with it. Obviously, with some of the VR stuff now, people are able to figure it out a little bit sooner. But you don't get a
for the viewers, when you say VR, are you talking virtual reality stuff?
Yeah.
Can you give us some example?
sim type racing, which I haven't really gotten that into, but a lot of my friends have, and it's been beneficial, obviously, to get the time in. So, but yeah, it's an incredible place. I mean, it's beautiful. You literally are racing through the clouds. And I think anytime you have those opportunities that just really put it on the line like that, you're racing ultimately against yourself and against the clock. Although in the motorcycles for several years, we would start off in groups of 5. Mm-hmm. So you were racing against other guys that had qualified sort of in your zone.
Yeah.
But it's a hard thing to, just my brother was a multi-time champion as well, and was a big part of our family. And when I first went there in 1996, it was on kind of a whim. And, one of the tricks that I've used on myself to get to force myself to do things that I'm not comfortable with is just to tell people that I'm going to do it. So in 96, I had read about it, obviously, for years in Cycle World and Cycle News and things like that, and thought, yeah, I'm going to go do this. So I started talking about it and then forced myself having to go race it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, 20 years. I've raced it 20 times. I missed it this year, but it's still on the potential to go back again.
So you've raced it in gasoline power and electric power, right?
Correct.
And which felt better and why?
I think they all have their thing. I think the electric cars they're so amazing, the power and power delivery and how linear it is. I mean, it feels much more like going on a roller coaster ride than going in a car race. Mm-hmm. Just how quick it accelerates, and it doesn't stop accelerating until you get off the throttle or get on the brakes. You don't have any shifting in the electric cars. Mm-hmm. So that's something that's a little bit different, but it's funny. It really is. It's not something you notice. Once you take off, you're concentrating, your senses are being used for other things. Maybe it's getting added back to the hand-eye coordination. I'm not sure. But
is the skill set different? I mean, like oversteer in a gasoline car versus electric, or is the principle all identical?
No, the principle is all pretty much the same. I mean, even this last, not this year, the previous year when I raced for Palatov in their electric supercar, it's a, one guy, small shop, putting this whole team together. Is a brilliant engineer, brilliant designer. Mm-hmm. But we did not get a ton of testing. It was kind of like you should. And that is one thing too with the electric cars, because of the power situation, you really only get a couple runs of practice in each section. Right. Whereas a motorcycle or a gas powered car, you might get as many as 5 or 7 runs. Okay. So that makes a big difference in your, at the end of the day, how much time you get on the mountain.
What about on the motorcycle? I mean, what's easier or harder, motorcycle versus car, and how do they differ in terms of skill set?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of skill set, it's probably, at the end of the day, it's pretty similar. You're using all the same, the same things, but motorcycles, obviously, the potential for getting hurt is quite a bit greater. And I certainly had enough big injuries and big crashes over the years at Pikes Peak to know that you get hurt. You're going to get hurt. In a car, obviously, if you're going off a 2,000-foot cliff, it doesn't much matter whether you're in a car, or a motorcycle, unless you have a parachute on your back. It's obviously not going to turn out too well. Motorcycle ride, typically it's harder. Yeah. So, and especially when you get into the track, it's not a track, right? It's a green mountain road. So there's never really rubber down on the ground, and you're talking about smaller contact patches on the motorcycle. So that razor's edge, I think, is a lot smaller.
Right.
That's
If you'd like to see a full-length version of this interview, go to resilient.com or Resilient's YouTube channel and check it out. It's really interesting, and you might even learn something.